everybody. My name is Nani Magara, and welcome to another episode of the Plunge podcast. We are on episode 7. And for this episode, I have my amazing friend who I have known for so many years. I feel like we've probably grown up together in the industry for a really long time. And I couldn't have season 1 without this person coming on. So without further ado, confetti for my amazing friend Muthuri Kinyamu.
Thank you, Lisa.
So when I say it means you have to do and then confetti.
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 Thank
How are you,
you.
Muthuri?
I'm good.
So for purposes of my podcast,
Yes.
my name is Noni.
Okay.
I know I like the thing when I invite my friends to my podcast, they
Yeah.
refer to me as Lisa. And guys are like,
Who's Lisa?
who is Lisa? Yeah. So for
Okay.
purposes of the plunge,
It's Noni.
we are Noni.
Okay.
All right, cool. So the plunge is a podcast that focuses on personal growth, on healing and transformation. And it's basically based off of my journey in therapy, in healing, in changing. And I feel like you're the perfect person to invite because you've seen me any woman checking going through
Yeah.
being literally not I wouldn't say a child, but being very young and naive.
Mm.
I met you when how old was I? 24?
Yeah.
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 Kenya buzz.
Yeah. Who?
Was it before or after?
It was during.
It was during.
Wait, remember I used to tell you I'm a journalist. Stop
Yeah,
calling
stop
me a
calling me a
blogger.
blogger. Yeah.
So yeah, even here, I'm
Yeah,
still a journalist,
yeah.
but slash podcaster.
Yeah.
Muthuri, please introduce yourself to the plungers.
Muthuri Kinyamu.
Mhm.
I'm an entrepreneur, primarily in tourism. So I represent a company called Tripesa in Kenya. Besides that, I own a tour farm with interests in media, travel, and we also specialize in accessibility for travelers with disability. Other than that, as a
Called
consultant,
what?
sorry,
Called words.
it's called accessible travel.
Oh, accessible travel.
Yes. The other one is called Turn Up Travel. Other than that, I consult on communication, market entry, and expansion for companies coming in and out of Kenya. Yeah.
I feel like you have like your shift in like from the moment I met you to today is so significant.
Yeah.
So I want to call today's episode Shifting Societal Mindsets as a Man from a Man's Point of View. Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to start with how we met.
Yeah.
Because when we met, we were technically travel influencers before influencing was a thing. Yeah. So
that was 2016 or 15. 15.
It was 2016.
2016.
Yeah. I was fresh from graduating campus.
Yes, around June, July.
Yeah.
Because the opportunity was Kenya Tourism Board was looking for creators to take over their social media channels and go around the country showcasing different destinations.
Magical Kenya.
Yeah. It was a 3-month assignment, and I think that was my foray into tourism. I think that opportunity not only connected me to people like yourself, but also learned about places and why certain things happen and why they don't. And I think I started looking at Kenya a bit differently once you've kind of gotten perspectives of people, different communities, and the appreciation of the same. And that I think allowed us to also meet my co-founder, Mathanga, and we started Turn Up Travel. So it's been 7 years.
So y'all, because we have to tell the story how you guys came up with Turn Up Travel.
Yeah.
So we were in the same team, me, you, and 2 other people.
Yes.
And we went to the coast.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to say the name of the hotel?
Yeah, we can mention it.
But they're not sponsoring us. It's okay. So we were at Voyager.
Yes.
And then I remember we used to plan the trips, the 4 of us in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
And then you guys didn't even want Brian to come on this trip.
On this, yeah, he had
You
done
remember?
something for
Because
Zen Garden.
we had done something with Zen Garden, and then he
Yeah.
was late.
Yeah.
So because there are two other ladies. So
Yeah.
one of them was like, "This girl was already late.
Yeah.
Why are you insisting he has to come?"
Exactly.
And I thought Brian was so cute. So
Yeah.
I was like, "No, Brian has to come to this trip."
Yeah.
So that's actually how Brian ended up
on the trip.
Yeah, because I was like, no, we need a photographer. Because I was like, we need a photographer, we need a videographer.
Yeah.
And back in the day, I thought, oh my God, Brian was so cute.
Yeah.
And he had a Black American
Has that changed?
accent. And now we're boys. I feel like if I meet someone who's my boy, looks whatever. Yeah. But back in the day, I used to think, oh my God, he has a Black American accent. We need this guy on the trip. So because you guys were the only two guys in the group, you ended up sharing
the room,
a room, because the same weekend, the whole hotel was filled with Chris Brown.
In Mombasa. Chris Brown was in what's the Nigerian?
Wizkid.
Yeah, was in Mombasa.
Was crazy.
I think Ali Kiba was too.
Ali Kiba. So the hotel was fully packed.
Yeah. And Capital FM had that team building.
A team building. I remember going to the beach with Capital FM crew.
Yeah.
But anyway, so how you and Brian ended up getting close is you had to share a room. Yeah. Because there was just no room capacity in the entire hotel. Yes. And that's how. Yeah. So you owe me dividends. That was a good. Is what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. Yeah. Interestingly, I think when Davey was planning the trip and hosting us. So
Davey,
Davey was then, Davey Karaoke was then the marketing manager for Heritage Hotels. And I remember,
shout out to Davey.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember, I think then we're like literally very young, a bit new in this space. So we are trying to show and prove there is value of what we are doing, not only to Kenya Tourism Board, but also the private sector that was hosting. And so I think it just took, I think you always have these people in life that just believe in what you're doing or trying to achieve. And I think years later is when I also realized the struggle behind it, what he had to do to ensure, the vision goes through, being that it was a busy weekend, inventory is limited. They could have sold the rooms.
They really could have.
They could have. So, but it was such an amazing weekend.
And he gave us such a VIP experience.
Exactly.
Like Captain, you remember? It was so beautiful.
Exactly.
And I've always loved Voyager ever since. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when we looked at what we had done that weekend, we sort of I think the first thing was we want to do something like this again. Because the campaign was also coming to an end, and it was around December. So we were tinkering. I remember Brian wanted to do more of photography and continue that storytelling. Having come back from the US, he wanted to look at how he could use the power of content to change the stereotypes and address certain misconceptions people have of the continent. My background in marketing, I wanted to mostly package unique experiences that then people would say, I've been to Mombasa once, twice, thrice, but then you could have a different experience on the fourth, fifth. There's always something hidden, overlooked, sometimes not packaged well. And so that was, I think, what starts the whole thing, and we couldn't even find a better name for it. So you're like, okay, so the whole thing is we turn up and travel.
Because we were turning up.
Yeah, exactly. That entire
we traveled and we were turning up. So you were like, let's call it turn up travel.
Yeah, we didn't want to have a XYZ safaris.
Yeah.
This is also someone you've just met.
Right.
Yeah, so you can't even hyphenate your names.
Yeah, you can't be like Buanga.
Yeah, whatever.
Muthuri.
Exactly. So that's how Turn Up Travel is born. And yeah, it's been 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think maybe when we talk about shifting societal mindsets from a man's perspective, aka you, because clearly you're the only man on this so far. I was just wondering, because I feel like your aura and personality is so flexible. You're the kind of person who is like, we'll find a way, we'll make a way.
Yeah.
But then you're also extremely detail oriented, which in another perspective, it's almost like two different sides of the coin,
Yeah.
but then you kind of merge it into one.
Yeah.
So, how are you able to shift to have the type of mindset where you're so flexible with changing things, but you're also so at the same time detail oriented? Like, because people who are detail oriented are not, they're
Yeah.
like, get with the program, but
Yeah.
you're like, we'll make it work. And you end up executing such amazing
Yeah.
campaigns. How do you do it?
Um, no, there are several things to
Mm,
that.
mm,
One, my background
mm,
is professionally. I
mm,
worked a bit in the venture capital space
mm,
and the entrepreneurship support
mm,
ecosystem. So
mm,
that's with incubators, accelerators. We
mm,
ran an
mm,
entrepreneurs club at 14 Riverside.
mm,
So prior to, I think, coming on to Turn Up Travel,
mm,
with my background again in marketing, which is
mm,
very much people centric.
mm,
So you're interacting with different people. So you have to connect with people in a boardroom and also just on the streets,
mm,
You have to be the person kind of people want to hang around with at a party and
mm,
also bring some seriousness when, you know.
mm,
Um, so image, basically.
mm,
What do you project and
mm,
where?
mm,
Because a lot of life is really about perceptions,
mm.
and network.
Really?
It is. It's how people think of you and when they, and when they do. Like,
Mm,
does your name come up when someone is looking for a holiday? Does your name
mm.
come up when someone is saying, okay, who
Like
could
top of
help us?
mind.
Yeah, who could help us
Mm,
get into Kenya, for example?
mm,
Does it come up when it's in the disability space, for
mm,
example, and people are looking for solutions?
mm,
So it's being adaptable,
mm,
but also being able to kind of spot opportunities
mm,
and kind of align to and consistently, I think, build a personal brand that's reliable,
mm,
trustworthy.
mm,
That people are, I think with when I got into tourism,
mm,
you get to connect with people at a very deep human level because you're
mm,
helping transform their dreams into memories, So this is someone who wants to nail a honeymoon. So they're, describing things in detail of what they would
mm,
like, what the
mm,
person likes. So you get to see people in very and share space,
mm,
or at least represent their aspirations.
mm,
Um, and that allows you to be an ally,
mm,
to kind of help. And when you look at the same attributes from an innovation standpoint,
mm,
it's you're up against the norm
mm,
and you're coming with something new
mm,
and you're trying to show this could work
mm,
step by step. So whenever I think I look back is when giving yourself some space to experiment and learn that if something doesn't work, that doesn't make you a failure.
mm.
And also just treating people the same way,
Yeah.
so you have to course correct but also pick up something from it,
Mm,
and then you also have to have fun so that then it's
mm.
not just
Too
work
serious.
and
Yeah.
very rigid. You also realize when you're working with young people that they want meaningful work. They
Mm,
just don't want to come do
mm,
the thing and leave.
mm,
So you're different thing to different people.
mm,
There's some that need a bit more direction and guidance.
mm,
There are other situations that will require a lot of decisiveness
mm,
and policy and
mm,
all that. But I think I always look at, do you want to be right or do you want to do the right thing?
mm,
And sometimes it doesn't have to be either or. I always think we want to connect as human beings.
mm,
Mistakes happen,
mm,
good things happen too. But the key thing is to connect at how do you want to if you're in the same situation. And I
yeah.
think COVID also taught us a bit of that, where you
Mm,
have to have some empathy
mm,
and it's literally working on the move.
mm,
You're in different places every week, every month, so you kind of have to fit in a Chalbi desert like Trukana,
mm.
in a luxury Angama type
Resorts.
place.
Ugh. Oh, I
All
miss
those things.
Sangama.
So it was a nice that campaign, I think, opened a lot of doors and also opened my eyes to
Yeah.
just how Kenya is in terms of the diversity and the breadth of experiences you could have
Yeah.
from budget all the way.
I'm curious, what's
Yeah.
the destination you've been to that left you with the most impactful memory you probably will never forget? And then maybe in line with that question is a destination does a destination give you impactful memories, or is it the people or person you've traveled with who makes the
Yeah.
destination memorable? So do the two coexisting or completely separate from each other?
I think Turkana, we did very remarkable work.
Mm-hmm.
Pre 2017, people are like, it was anger, the perception of the destination,
Mm.
and
So
we
you
use.
where exactly?
Well, let me put it this way. My destination, there, when you travel, vile tunasema kutembea kwingi ndio kuona mengi.
Mm,
There is always the what you found online, what you've heard about the place. So
mm,
you're coming with some
mm,
misconception, or
mm,
sometimes with a preconceived notion of,
mm,
like, these people are like this place is like this.
mm.
So I remember the first time I got to Lodwar, there is an airport. There are even 4 airports around Turkana County.
Mm.
Then there is
I didn't know
tarmac.
that.
There is like very, dope clubs.
Mm.
Nightlife is lit.
Really?
Yeah. So I get here and I'm like, oh, naambiwa Diamond ameperform hapa, nani ameperform huku. Then
Mm,
I'm like, okay. Then they have irrigation schemes just around Lodwar. So, it's a destination that checks everything that you've
mm,
had. Like there is
mm,
hunger, and then
mm,
you see irrigation schemes. So you start seeing like people who are self-reliant.
mm. So
You,
now your narrative mindset is
yeah,
shifting.
it's changing.
Yeah.
And you kind of feel like how many more of this affects what people think of the place.
Mm,
Could it be hindering investment?
mm,
Does it shape how people interact with
mm,
with the county?
mm,
And that's the power of tourism and media,
mm,
because it allows you to get your first-hand experience
mm,
and come back with your story.
mm,
If you're able then to document that for a wider audience, then even more powerful, because
mm,
these are the references that
mm,
people often then use
mm.
to consider a destination. So, and I remember us coming back with the drone shots. We color graded them,
So
and
like
all.
what exactly like happened? Like
For me, I
yeah, what
think,
exactly were you guys doing?
okay. So the very first trip I went alone.
Mm,
Then the county said we would like to host you and a few of influencers. So I
mm,
took Kina Laira Oko, Naomi Mutua,
mm,
and our Turn Up in Motion crew.
mm,
Uh, there's a lady who was a first Kenya's marine pilot.
mm,
But anyway, we went and spent a week
mm,
exploring, documenting, and there was a lot of, wow, I didn't
mm,
know, and
mm,
I didn't think I did. But the thing is, when we came back with, the way people say, you need Photoshop, that kind of a thing. I remember
mm,
going to Kenya Film Commission
mm,
and showing a reel that we had done just to Turkana by air,
mm.
and those guys couldn't believe.
What was the real about?
It was just an aggregation of drone shots that we had taken during the
Mm.
course of that week.
I
You
think
know,
my question is like, what were you taking? Like, was
okay,
it a landscape, a
those
highland,
are
a
like
lake?
the terrain from Kainuk
Mm,
has a bit of forest to the towns in Lodwar. Then you go to the
mm,
lake. Then you go to
mm,
Central
mm.
Island.
So there's
All
a
that.
lake in Turkana.
I mean, there is Lake Turkana.
No, like it's an actual lake.
It
Like
is.
it's
It
not
is.
the way because me when I think of Turkana,
Yeah. You're.
I have
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly what you're saying, a preconceived
Yeah.
mindset.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, and just around Lake Turkana as well, there are 3 crater lakes in the
Mm,
middle of it at
mm,
Central Island. So
mm,
it's let me say, the when I went and came back, I was like completely transformed, so to
mm,
say.
mm,
And I think that shaped the kind of work we would later do,
mm,
um, because it's a lot of what we've done is a lot of systemic work, you
mm,
know, because the reason why people either go a particular direction and not the other way
mm,
it's not because there are no roads or flights or other things.
Mm.
It's just because of what people associate with certain places.
Mm.
You
Mm-hmm.
think so?
Yeah.
There's always beauty in adversity, and I'm not
Yeah.
saying there isn't hunger or any other thing, or it's not dry
But
or
it's
anything.
not the only narrative
Exactly,
about that area.
destinations often have a soft underbelly. There
Mm.
is gun crime in SA, there is terror elsewhere,
Mm.
but people don't stop going to Joburg because of all the crazy videos we see, or
Mm.
Mexico because of,
Mm.
like, even America
Mm.
for all the
Yeah.
the gun issues they
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
So it's people still think of it as the land of the free, and
Mm.
and go to pursue their American dream.
Yeah.
So I believe each destination has
Mm.
a soul,
Mm.
has what holds it together,
Mm.
and it's that includes the challenges it
Mm.
goes through. But in order to attract investment, capital, people, all
Mm.
that,
Mm.
you have to change. You know, so what we basically did was,
Perceptions.
county
Yeah.
branding or
Mm.
rebranding,
Mm.
and that has borne a lot of opportunities,
Mm.
not just for
To
locals but also for ourselves,
yeah.
for to do other work elsewhere
Mm.
and always come back to.
So here's a myth and a serious question. Is travel do I have to have money to travel?
You need it for sure. you know
So
uh,
if so basically you're saying travel is a privilege.
to be sincere,
Yeah.
there is different modes or purposes.
Mm.
Visiting your friends and relatives
Mm.
is also traveling.
Mm.
Kwenda rurashio, it's also, you're moving from one place to another, so it
Mm.
doesn't have to be always beach, you know
Mm.
bikinis,
Mm.
all
Mm.
that. It
Mm.
doesn't have to be
Mara.
far.
Mm.
What COVID really also showed us is just what is often overlooked just around us.
And
Like, we
the
were all locked in
local.
Nairobi, but now we discovered, okay, at a Uhuru Park we can go back because you know um or go
So we
up.
are shifting that mindset that
Yeah,
travel is not just beach, is not just bush. We used to have a slogan
yeah,
from bush to beach.
yeah.
It's not just like it's more
It's really
holistic.
giving yourself a chance to
Holistic.
experience something new. It could be
Yeah.
a meal, it could be,
Ah, that's
you
really
know,
good. Giving
eh,
yourself a chance to experience
yeah, something
something
new,
new.
because we often have, this is what I do, this is what I am, this is where I could hang out.
Mm.
But you have to, at whatever budget,
Mm.
you
Mm.
can have, you can try something new.
Mm.
I've seen people come all the way to ride matatus and, and say, okay, I want to experience that Muthuri culture.
Mm.
It's not an issue of income. It's about
Mm.
trying something new,
Mm.
or appreciating.
I mean, even our friend Bonita, who
Yeah.
is we have a friend in common.
Yeah.
She was saying how, because now she's a travel influencer,
Yeah.
but someone was asking her, how did you start? And she said, I used to use mats
Mm.
to just go, like,
Just go.
I just go to Tao, get a mat to go to Nakuru or whatever,
Mm.
book
Yeah.
somewhere and
Yeah.
explore the
And then
town.
just, yeah. I think a lot of times people often want to, and because of that influencer culture as well,
And
people want to
Instagram
do,
visuals.
yeah, do a
Yeah.
certain thing. But you remember you have to, and there's nothing wrong. Like, people save to
Yeah.
afford those things.
Yeah.
They just don't land there.
Mm.
So there are several components. And I always say there is, not everyone will start with a BMW or Mercedes. There's still dreamy versions of where I would like to live, what I would
Mm.
like to drive, where I would like
Mm.
to go. So there
Mm.
is no problem having a Maldives
Mm.
in your
In your mind.
bucket list.
Yeah.
There is no problem of saying one day I'll climb Kilimanjaro, because
Mm.
it's not just requires resources, it also
Mm.
requires time and
Mm.
sometimes flexibility. You
Mm.
ask the question of, do you experience destinations differently if you go with different people? And I think that the company also plays a certain, you know, in as
Role.
much as we have solo travel and all
Yeah.
other things, like,
Mm.
there is time you want some solitude
Mm.
and a season, you need
Mm.
that. There
Mm.
is time you just want to enjoy certain places
Mm.
intimately with
Mm.
someone.
Mm.
There are also destinations that are a bit more of like romantic destinations. So like you can't go to Maldives and everyone is coupled up, and then you're just the one like who's like
I have a friend of
with a
mine.
tripod taking
Yeah,
your
I
own
have a friend of
photos.
mine. I have a friend of mine who went to, I think it was Maldives for her honeymoon, and
Yeah,
she was telling us how everyone was just coupled up. You
exactly.
couldn't have gone there for a
Like
solitude.
exactly.
Even the locals would have been looking at you like,
Like,
hey, kwani this
wako
one
wapi mwenzako?
aliachwa, but alikuwa book trip.
Exactly. So and also I think even back to turn up travel,
Yeah.
um there is what I'd say like the squad matters sometimes, like how you experience Kisumu with
Your
one
crew.
person or a crew, versus where if you went with colleagues, it's very much different, and the memories you draw from it. So I believe, and I think also there is this popular thing, or I used to say is, not all girlfriends make good travel buddies. So
Do you know they say if you really want to know someone,
yeah,
travel with them?
exactly. So
Remember how we
even
used to get into domes when we
there are things like
travel?
that, because you're sharing. Like, imagine you are going for like a 21-day overland trip with people,
An
strangers.
overland trip for
Yeah,
21 days.
yeah.
I could never.
People will even break up while at
I
it.
could
Yeah.
never break
Yeah.
up and live with a whole other partner.
And yeah, you have time to break up
Me, I know someone
and
who
start something new.
they planned a trip to Malindi over New Year's. And then you know how it's like a squad trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like you come with your friends, I come with my friends. And then she ended up marrying.
One of the
Yeah.
And that's the
And
power,
they
I
met
think.
there, but she went with someone else.
Exactly.
And I was like, that's wild.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
maybe his role in her life was to introduce her to her
To our people.
husband.
But the other thing with travel,
Yeah.
with what we do is you also get to see people through the different seasons. Like they've met, they've dated, so they're like trying to figure out what works for them. Sometimes also COVID happens, one is out of work. When you're serving people, you realize now they have like a tradition. We celebrate birthdays, we go for Christmas, but then certain shocks happen. A parent is unwell. You're going through life with your customers.
Like you're holding their hand through the most intimate
Moments,
moments of their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's always funny when like when you see someone who's you've not seen for a while, and now they're saying, okay, we are now two adults and and an infant. So or now they are now two. And you remember booking one last time. So it's always very nice to always catch up and see like how are people doing. And also that also includes the other, people break up, people lose spouses and
So
all
you're
that.
like, oh, same destination, different
or you
different
see another
partner.
name, or you see another name. So you're like, oh, okay.
So I hear from what I'm hearing is you're saying working in the tourism industry, you're also very privy to private details about someone.
Let me say this. Like, for us, I think our biggest job is to also give people that privacy, and also we are there to help you transform your dreams to memories. So same way a doctor will ask you certain questions is the same way your travel agent will ask you for
So
certain
you're
things.
a tourism doctor.
No,
You're
not
a
necessarily.
memories doctor.
Happiness, maybe.
You're a happiness doctor.
Yeah. But the thing though is how people also have because it's not just about destinations. I'm also guiding you through what can you do on this budget. There's a birthday coming up. Maybe you're broke. Maybe
Or you don't have enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can help you do something
Customize.
within something and make it extra special. Make it just for a night. So
Mm.
you're really helping people achieve. Or someone is like, okay, how do I surprise this person? Like, so we'd be like, what does he or does she like? Where else have you been that you liked? So you kind of have to build a profile of, to actually help them pull a surprise. The other thing is when we also understand the purpose, then we can match it to certain attributes or amenities. Maybe you just wanted to relax. Maybe you want to just have a full exposure of the destination. So you want to have like multiple activities. Maybe you're traveling, with a multi-generational family. So you have folks and kids. So there's always what you can have in a package, which includes now having to know a bit. Now, in the work that we are doing around
More
accessibility,
yeah.
you're meeting people in very vulnerable situations. Again, we have to know what are your accessibility needs. What we are doing with accessible travel is trying to remove or lower barriers that stop travelers with disabilities, both visible and physical. So whether you're deaf, we can do like sign language. Whether you're blind, can we help you with accessing spaces that have tactile whatever. So the key thing is, we have a vehicle that has a retractable seat for like wheelchair users that can use to, from airport to all that. So it's inclusive travel. So they say, look at it the same way you have Chinese visitors, then you maybe want to have a menu that also caters to their
needs. Yeah.
So it's the same way I look at even accessibility of what can we do to the space, or what can we even do even with content that allows people who can't hear or have hearing impairment
to be included in the process.
When we talk about publishing, is it material that's accessible? Like, can someone,
audio,
all that, So, and I believe, all these people they have birthdays, they have anniversaries, their kids have,
it's only fair.
Exactly. And so we also want to bring the same joy to such families,
exactly,
to such organizations that employ.
Because there's also families that have family members who
exactly
would also want to be included. So you can't leave them at home.
Exactly. And also, as we go through life, either because of age or accidents or other things, sometimes people will lose mobility.
Things happen.
Hearing, and all that. So, actually, what inspires accessible travel is one of our very first trips we did as stand-up travel to Watamu. We had a lady called Zena, and around the pandemic, she lost her eyesight.
Oh.
So this is a lawyer in her 30s, loses her eyesight. She still has friends. And so how do we still ensure
she
we
was
can
already
hang
used
out?
to traveling.
Exactly.
So
you had led a normal life, still do.
That's impactful.
Now you have
wow.
a certain barrier that you have to overcome. So how can a company like us help you still enjoy a holiday?
Oh wow, I love that. I really really, really love that. Very impactful. Great job, guys. So shifting gears from travel and all this fun stuff. To Muthuri, the man, the don, the guy. First of all, what's your fascination with African attire?
A friend of mine.
I just knew you're going to wear an African. I didn't even have to ask. I just knew you're going to wear an African
the funny
jacket.
thing is, one, as a Kenyan company, we showcase the country in different ways, and one of it is to wear made in Kenya clothing, and also support other designers. Local. Yeah, we're we're all entrepreneurs, so it's always good to, and I think every piece has a story at what particular time was gotten for what occasion. Yeah, so I remember someone saying nowadays you're not wearing those jackets of yours either because of work, because you won't wear certain things to every other place, so you have to. But for me, I think I
feel like this is your signature look.
Exactly.
You and Dan kind of same what's up.
Every once in a while, people are like, "Oh, okay," but it's good. It's part of celebrating our culture, and people have their Gucci and other things.
You have your Africanese.
Exactly.
Love that.
Yeah.
And then so like Father's Day just recently passed.
Yeah.
And I remember when I met you, I don't even know what conversation we were having, and then you're like, "Oh yeah, I need to call my daughter," and I was like, "You have a daughter?"
Yeah.
And that was a while back, and she was like 9. So now she's a teenager.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
now a
Talk
class
more
eight.
about your. She's 14. Wow.
Yeah.
Talk more about your journey as a dad. Is it something that you want to speak about publicly? Nimekumulika or what?
Yeah.
Let's deep dive. Let's deep
Okay.
dive.
What was it? I think it's been a very rewarding journey. I think
Mm-hmm.
when you see someone grow from a toddler to, you know, all through phases and
Mm,
now getting into teenage
mm,
and just doing life,
mm,
with someone.
mm.
Um, you will always be maybe her or his hero, in terms of
Your
beyond
child
provision.
at this
Yeah.
point. Mm-hmm.
Beyond provision is
Mm,
need to be also present, is need
mm,
to just go through different seasons, you
mm,
know,
mm,
performing well when they've not done so well,
mm.
when, and to see that growth, and someone tackling their different chapters
Yeah.
year in, year out,
Mm,
is a joy, to say so to speak, from Mali to Metoka,
mm.
to this particular, 14 years later.
Yeah.
So
Having a daughter, does it shift your mindset as to how you approach dating with women? A. B. Did the
yeah,
fact that you work in the travel industry
yeah,
allow you more romantic gestures? Because before dating someone who's a travel
yeah.
professional. Why are you taking me? Why are we going to have coffee? Why?
Yeah.
Let's go to a town. So like
Um,
two part. This is my sly way
of
of getting it.
getting a certain
Yeah,
anyway, I don't think, like, if you love food, you don't have to date a chef, right?
I would date a chef if I love food.
Or if you love shots, you can, you don't go looking for a mixologist.
I would though.
Yeah.
I
So it's the
would.
same thing.
Uh,
There are,
if I like to travel, I would date someone in the
would
travel
travel.
industry.
It's not really like, when I
Okay, no,
look
but
at
not really. You have a
when I
point.
look at of course, people will say, "Oh, I love your job," especially when you used to travel a lot, and
Mm,
now as you grow older, you now realize, okay, now you're wearing multiple hats.
mm,
You probably can't always be on the move, because
mm,
other things also, you're trying to juggle various moving parts.
mm,
My answer to that question is, I honestly don't think anyone just like would date someone just because of like their Instagram, like, where have you been,
mm,
however,
mm.
traveling is a good way of meeting people, right?
Yeah.
And also getting to connect
Different
deeply.
people from different
Exactly.
backgrounds.
And it's also a better way, like, if to know if your interests are aligned. So if you love nature, if you enjoy doing certain things,
Mm,
if you're meeting people who are also doing the same things, you
mm,
probably have some form of like-mindedness that
mm.
now allows maybe dating
Okay,
to.
Muthuri, you're diverting from my question.
I don't think, if I look back, I
Mm,
honestly don't think you meet people,
mm-hmm,
but you've met like people at a festival.
mm-hmm,
The key thing is, the same way a doctor sees patients is
mm-hmm,
probably also the same way we interact, because we are hosting clients in and out, and professionally there are boundaries and all
mm-hmm.
that. So we may share, say, a vehicle, a, a destination for a week, but it's the same way a pilot flies people and comes back for another route and all that. I don't think it ever occurs, like, maybe.
So you're telling me you leave me at home?
No, no, no,
You
no,
go to Seychelles
no,
and come back?
no.
Oh, what are you
Trust, like,
saying?
what I'm saying is,
Uh,
if your boyfriend is a DJ, you
yeah,
don't go to the club every night.
I would.
No, you
I would
won't.
be supporting his
No,
career.
you're doing different things. So if let's say you marry a doctor, they go to weird shifts,
I know,
like,
but that's completely different
yeah, it's the same way.
contexts.
Like,
No,
how
you can't be chilling in the hospital lobby waiting.
exactly? So
But I could go to Watamu and chill in the
exactly,
hotel as you do your business. So my question to you is,
yes.
you've really gone round. Straight to the point. My question to you is: does the fact that you're a dad and you have a daughter, has that changed your perception when it comes to dating women? And then B, when you're dating, because you're in the travel industry, do you get to have more romantic expeditions as opposed to the kawaida guy who has to
Yeah.
probably save to take trips and stuff?
To the first question, I think, of course, you see, when you have a kid, it's not something you pack and come and say like, oh, I'll come back to that or whatever. So it's always at a particular point you're gonna have that conversation, right? Does it change? I believe everyone has a checklist of what they look for in people, and maybe to some it's a deal breaker, to others it's been okay. I don't see it as, sometimes a first date conversation, so to speak. I also don't think I should post her just to also give her the privacy to grow out of this world. Of course, working in the industry gives me access to places, hotels, and all that. But like everyone else, also we also work hard to afford our holidays. You see, when you're going somewhere on someone's dime, you have to. There are expectations. You can get freebies, but also there is like some expectations of, do you need to document? Do you need to go shoot? So I feel like family holidays are intimate moments. So I wouldn't, and I also want to, the same way I want people to pay when they're coming to patronize my business. It's the same way I also want to support the industry. So let me book tickets, let me book hotels. And that allows us to have, um, you keep all your stakeholders
Happy.
happy.
Yeah.
So, and also, I think there is a small thing with like social capital where if you overdraw with the request and all that, then you're completely
It'd be like this one
depleting.
just
Yeah,
brings his
like, yeah, this,
girlfriend
yeah,
every
like,
other this nautical job. Yeah.
Also, I don't want to take like, and I think, I'm very, what's the right word? Like, there is family, then there is work, then there
So you
is,
like to separate the two?
yeah, right. Of course, I can get a discounted deal, also because you've done stuff with people over time, they're able to throw in,
a favor or two.
or two, and that allows you to also share certain memories. But in terms of like, if I have clients and we are going somewhere, then why would I bring my girlfriend to that?
So basically, understanding what context requires
Exactly.
how you show up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because at that scene, maybe I'm a tour guide, maybe I'm your driver picking you up at the airport. You've booked a vehicle, right? So if it's a group trip dynamic to a particular place, then it's different. But if you're working, say, like a campaign for an airline, unless your girlfriend is also an influencer or a DOP or something else, but really,
or the both of you are in the same industry.
Yeah.
So you just so happen to be in the same campaign.
Yeah.
And even then they're still at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit of whatever.
You know, you've
Always.
reminded me of a story. When we went to Masai Mara. But we won't get into that.
I think over time, people, you learn and evolve. You understand um, just how to relate with people in their different capacities. So, people always ask, like, do pastors talk to their wives the way they like talk on the pulpit?
Yeah, that's so hilarious.
Or that's their work voice, and
My
I'm
wife.
like, my wife, So there's always these
That's
things.
so funny. I've never thought of it like
So,
that.
like, how does a tour guide when he's home, or like when he's just driving around the family?
Yeah.
So they're all these things.
Children to your left
Yeah.
is a secretary bird.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think my what I keep coming back to is the industry we are in allows us to meet so many people
Mm.
and different cultures and work on very different assignments. So there isn't like a typical day. Um, you have friends all over, and that's a good thing. So, but it's also the same way someone is, serves in a church. They also have people coming in and
I
out.
like that.
Yeah.
I really like the way you've kind of shifted our mindset on what like travel is about.
It's not
How
as sexy on the inside as it looks on Instagram.
yeah,
It's a lot of
but I feel like as a traveler, I don't want to know what goes behind the scenes.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I believe like everyone else, even people in the industry, want to afford the same holidays and take their families. A pilot wants to be flown by someone else
to just
the
enjoy
Seychelles.
the
Yeah,
joys of
he
being a
wants to come to the
passenger.
airport without an uniform, right? As a citizen, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with chefs, with everyone, with guides. So one day you just want to say, I want to be taken somewhere, to be taken care of. Like let someone handle everything. Like I don't book holidays, for example. We don't even book them at Turn Up Travel.
You use an entire different
Yeah, and that's
tourism
partly because
consultant
I don't want to be in the entirety
behind the
of the
scenes.
process.
Yeah.
Like I believe holidays are not just the day you pack and go. It's been from the dreaming to the planning to the saving to the
Yeah.
whatever.
I feel like
So
that's
let me get someone to also take care of
yeah, I feel
us.
like that's the equivalent of me becoming because like my last episode I had Kate Rira,
Yeah.
who's a podcaster.
Yeah.
And then I was asking, how does it feel to be a guest when
Yeah.
you're the one who's used to?
Yeah.
I feel like I should be a guest at someone else's podcast
Yeah.
just to
As always, mganga huwa ajigangi.
right.
Yeah.
I love
That's
that.
yeah.
So I have some questions that I remember I asked David. For context, David works with Muthuri as well at
Tripesa.
do you know how they say Tripesa?
It's okay. The try or tree.
Tripesa.
Yes.
All
It's
right,
money.
cool. At the end of the day.
It's money. Yeah.
Cool. So I have some 4 questions that I asked him and he answered. And I feel like because you all work
Together,
together, I'm thinking why not just get your perspective on some of these questions there. So question 1 is what do you believe about yourself? And is that the same as what you believe about who you're supposed to be?
There's always the gap between who you are and who you'd like to become. Like we're constantly work in progress as people with dreams and aspirations, with places or things you'd like to do. So you would always have the same way when you say like when I finish college, I want to do this. Then you finish, then you start, then there's like, okay, you've entered the work life, whatever, and now so at different places you're succeeding in one area, lagging behind on something else,
Yeah.
right? So let me say it's been constantly a point of like how far or how am I doing on, as a man, as an employer, as an employee, as as a dad. So there's always gonna be like room for you to do better, especially as a man. So you can't just pick up a point and now you're like
Nimefika.
you're the best. But the other thing is you also have to have the contentment to kind of also tackle life with some certain understanding of your capabilities, your capacity. People always say we have the same 24 hours. So there are things that will take time. There are things that will take certain effort. There are things that will take time to fall into place. So there is always sometimes as a man you might think, if I make certain amount of money, then it will fix these other things. You make that money, some other things also appear. All
Right.
those things.
Yeah.
So there is never a checklist or one thing to when I start my own business, and the grass is always greener on the other side. So people who are like so you'd always look and say, that guy is a really nice.
They're just looking at you from the outside
Exactly.
perspective, but they don't know
Yeah, but from the
the
other end,
mud you have to go through.
exactly.
Yeah.
So there is always the key thing is to always take that dipstick and say like, how am I doing? And have like a set of friends, accountability partners, and like a support system. I don't think there is anyone who's self-made, self-reliant, and just so you'll always have things that shake you. Like if someone doesn't perform well, didn't you do enough of tuition resources or that kind of thing? Should you change the school? Should you? So there's always the room of between who and you know. It's always like that scenario of what you saw in Jumia versus what was delivered.
Really? Wow. All right.
And also the vice versa, because sometimes people see.
Listen, me, mine is vice versa.
Yeah.
What people think about me and what they see when they meet me, they're like, Kumbe, you're actually so cool. So when they see me, you know that.
Yeah.
You know that. Yeah.
So, also, they're like, when you're dealing, especially like with personalities, there's what they project. Sometimes they are when you get to know them.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's faking or anything. It's just like people have projected.
Or they're just showing you a certain facet of their lives that they want you to only like 20%.
Yeah. And which is also okay.
And it's absolutely fine.
Yeah. Because you're compartmentalized. So you probably don't want to show that.
And
you
it's
as a
okay
mother.
to have boundaries.
Yeah.
In
Or
life.
you as a wife.
It's actually very healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Question 2. What would it look like if you were to be completely and unapologetically Muthuri Kinyamu?
The one thing I would always say is when you look back at life, you're okay with the choices you made.
No regrets.
No regrets.
I like that.
It doesn't mean you succeeded wildly or did other things, but if you felt like you needed to quit a job, start something, launch a business in an election year, start something in the disabled space.
Probably not a good idea.
So it's always, I think the biggest thing when it comes to like I could have done. And for me, I think you need to have judgment and decisiveness.
Discernment.
Yeah, to say, do I also want to let go of something if it's not working? So I think for me, that's living unapologetically. And you'd always be okay with the choices you made because at that point, that was the best thing you could have done. In the larger sum of life, you might say there was a season that, was like this. But, one tough month, one terrible weekend in a decade looks like it's even
2
forgotten.
hours.
Yeah.
Or 20 minutes.
Nothing. Yeah. So don't be so tough on yourself.
Don't be so hard on yourself. Yeah. I think that's the one thing my therapist always tells me. Like, I feel like, Lisa, you're too hard on yourself and you need to show yourself some grace.
And extend the same to others.
And extend the same to others. Yeah. Okay. And then I have 2 last questions. How do you honor yourself, especially the parts that you don't fancy that much?
Lazima ujieta kamkutano. Always.
Committee.
Yeah, you have to like look at things and be really truthful to yourself. Because we're all interconnected. So some people are like, I don't think, like you do you or you. It's like actions have, as always say, have consequences. But also the other thing is there is a cosmic effect, on. So you not only have to look at what you did, but what effect would it have on someone else. So there is I believe you just can't be like life is just about me. I have to look at the small place I also exist in other people's lives. And as a man, look at that as beyond responsibility, beyond like what's the like how do these people want to remember me? How would I want to be remembered? So
what impact do you want to leave?
like what would your legacy be? What would people say about you? And not like worrying, like but it's just about like
Giving back.
If 10 people walk into the same room
Mm,
and you randomly ask, like, do you know Muthuri?
mm,
What would they say?
mm,
And they don't have to say the same things, but they could have, this guy was this guy
mm,
was this.
mm,
It's like always like writing your eulogy from
mm,
as you're alive,
mm,
like, and I believe life gives you a chance to do a bit of that. Like,
mm,
yeah, because again, as you always seen, it's hard to erase the sketchy parts.
yeah.
Yeah, you're one entity, and
Mm,
you could be a good dad, terrible partner,
yeah.
good boss, abusive husband. It's the same guy, you know.
Toxic.
And the two things are also as valid, So you can't say, oh no, that guy is very nice. He's crappy to
Mm,
partner or
mm,
the kids.
mm,
It's the same person. So you're okay to coexist in your entirety, but the only other person who can now live and sit with that is you.
mm,
Because anything else is how you interact with different people and what they think of you.
mm.
But ultimately, sasa lazima ujiite kamkutano because ni wewe. Yeah.
I feel like I can talk to you like forever and ever and ever because like I feel like you're those guys I can call and we have 2-hour conversation.
Yeah.
And you're just giving me advice. By the
Yeah.
way, one thing that people don't know is I always call you for advice
Yeah.
on so many things.
Yeah.
And I think this episode is the one episode where I've not been on guard like oh my god, I have to be okay with my questions. I have to be on point. Like I've just let it just flow.
Yeah.
And it's because I've known you for so long and I see you as like my big bro.
Yeah.
You met me when I was literally a baby. And everything that I've done has always been, do you know it's you and another guy called Wale? In fact, you're even the one who introduced me to Wale. That's
Yeah.
so crazy.
Yeah.
So Wale is like my other big brother.
Yeah.
And when he comes to Kenya, for sure he's gonna come
Yeah.
because now he lives in London.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he lives in London now. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that you're one of those people who you'll forever be my kitchen cabinet.
Yeah.
For when I need advice, even when I wanted to start a podcast,
We talked about
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So as we wind up, I'm being selfish.
Yeah.
What's the one cool memory that will forever remain in your mind
Yeah.
about me and our friendship?
No, I think that there are a few. I think, but I think
The
when
one that
no,
just
it's I think when we were in the Mara the first trip, and
yeah.
then we see the secretary.
the secretary bird. And it was your birthday.
Yeah, it was a birthday
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah.
So I remember that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've had several different seasons.
Like really fun.
Yeah.
Really
And it's
fun
good to see the evolution
moments.
through your
Yeah.
different gigs.
Yeah.
And now on this other side.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thanks for hosting me as well.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming. I knew you're not going to say no. Those people who can. I have to literally change my carton.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's like, okay. Especially when I saw the questions, I'm like, okay, let me go.
So we need to wrap this up,
Yeah.
but for sure we'll continue our conversation later on. I know me and you, we can sit a whole week just talking. But thank you so much for coming by. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Thank you for changing mindsets on what a man should be and look like. And yeah, I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
And that's a wrap.